Good morning, everyone, and my name is Lori Lytle, and I'll be hosting today's Mortgage Coach Thursday training. So first off, let me see any hands raised if you're the first time on this Thursday training call. If you could go ahead and raise your hand and go to meeting. All right, Ed, got a new one there. Okay, sounds great. Also, I wanted to let you know if you have any questions at all, the way we're going to use GoToMeeting is to go ahead and open up the question area and place your questions in the question box. So first off, let me go ahead and launch a poll, and this is going to tell you what we're going to be talking about. So Marcy, if you could go ahead and launch that poll for us. What we're going to talk today's training course is we're going to focus on the reinvestment strategy screen. So I want to be able to know if you're utilizing the reinvestment strategy. So if you could go ahead and make your comment. We only have 33% voted right now, so if you could go ahead and quickly answer that for us, and then we'll go ahead and continue on. So far we have, wow, it keeps changing, fine. All right, we're getting the votes now. Perfect. This is going to be great because right now we have our 69% have not used the reinvestment strategy and 31% have. So that's great. So Marcy, if you could go ahead and close out that poll. Thank you. Okay, so last week what I worked on is a refinance scenario. So we have a current mortgage, and then I showed an FHA, so we were able to show that new MI factor. Then I showed you how to key in a 5-1 ARM worst case scenario for the rate and 5-1 ARM best case scenario for the rate. So with this, you could see on a report, just one moment, you could see that the freedom point is less for that current mortgage. So one of the questions we're having come through support is, you know, why refinance? They have a lower freedom point. Oh, there's no sun. So can anyone else hear me? Nick is mentioning that there's no sand. Can you raise your hand if you can hear me? If you cannot, go ahead and put it in the box. Okay, I do have hands raised that they can hear me. Okay, great, Jerry. Nick, you might be able to, oh, perfect, Nick. Okay, great. So with the reinvestment strategy, there's a lot of things we can do with the reinvestment. We can make level payments in the sense of with your payment, you're currently making this amount in your payment, but now that you're saving, why don't you reinvest so you can show apples to apples in payments? Show them how to reinvest that savings, the 266 or the 444. So we're going to talk about how to reinvest that to make it even payments. We also, going into the more info button here, we'll be able to see in our payment stream, in our payment breakdown tab, we have mortgage insurance. On the FHA loan, you know, the mortgage insurance will carry for the life of the loan. But with the conventional products, it does drop at that 78% LTV. So that's extra money as well. So let's show them what happens when you reinvest mortgage insurance. And then the last item I want to show you in our reinvestment strategy screen is to do lump sum payments. You'll be able to do that as well. So on purchase scenarios, maybe they haven't sold the house and they're going to get sell it within the year, have additional money to pay on down the principal. So I'll show you how to do that one lump sum payment, reinvest mortgage insurance, and reinvest just the savings. So let's go to the reinvestment tab in our report. And just to be able to give you an idea, we have a reduction payment line. So this is the line that we're going to be working with and be able to reinvest those savings. But I also wanted to point out the MI cutoff line on here. So with mortgage insurance, my current mortgage happens to be an FHA loan, so it shows that it's carrying for the life of the loan. This one is because I have an LTV of 90%. They only have to carry MI on FHA loans for 11 years. That's why it's not for the life, so I want to point that out. And then you have 3.5 years of MI on those conventionals before they reach that 78%. So with that MI cutoff, you have an idea here how many years that they have carrying that MI. So I'll show you how to reinvest that. Also, besides the upper section here in the reinvestment strategy where you're applying money to principal, we also have a way to be able to apply it either to a savings balance or to an investment balance. So either of those options, we'd be able to show how they can get wealth by refinancing it and saving that monthly payment savings. So I'll show you all the aspects of the reinvestment strategy, applying principal, applying that money to a savings balance or an investment balance. So that's where we're going to go today, and we're going to jump into Edge and go for it. The other option, I know we're going to, after I work on this for a bit, we're going to dive into other options. If there's anything particular you want to see how it's done in Edge, put it in the question area, and then I'll be able to get to it after we're done with the reinvestment. So if there's any kind of questions you have, please go ahead and put it in there, and I can address those scenarios. Okay, so let's clear out our report. And so the first thing I'm going to do is go into Edge. So edge.mortgagecoach.com. I'm also curious out there, how many people who are have been using Edge Live? I'm curious. Go ahead and raise your hand if people have been using Edge Live. All right, Kimberly, that's it so far. Oh, there we got a few. Okay, Dale and Jerry. Oh, perfect. Okay, not as many. I want everyone on this call to be able to use Edge Live, so we're going to focus on that as well. So let me go back to my report real quick, and what I'm going to do, because we have the report established, I'm going to the lower right-hand corner and clicking on my Share button. I'm gathering the link for my report right here, and I'm going to place it in the chat area. So in that chat area, if you take a look, it now has a link to this report. And the reason why I'm sending or putting it in there, to have you experience Edge Live, to get an idea. So if you have two screens, put the link on one screen, and you're going to watch the data change as we go into Edge. So I wanted to put that out there. Also to let you know, whoops, just closed out my report here. Let's go ahead. Okay, so now let's go into Edge, and you'll see my report was for Kenneth Gambro, so I'm going to go ahead and click on my file. Also, ooh, Kimberly has it. Oh, okay. Okay, Mary, I'll show you the highlighting when we get back to the report. Okay, and then Kimberly, I'll take a look at yours in just a moment. So, okay, so for those of you who are new, the upper section is the total cost analysis. Also to let you know, we do have an intro class to Edge that covers all the fields on creating a report. We hold that every Friday at 9. So if you're wanting a little bit more experience in Edge and understanding it, sign up for that call. It's roughly an hour, and we really dive into every field and all the details of the Edge report. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on Kenneth Gambro. And with these files, I was talking to a person on the phone, and this is another thing that you might want to think about, is what are you currently doing sending out your loan quotes? This one woman, you know, we're going through it, you know, it took about 5-10 minutes to create a report. You could just hear it a little bit in the, her voice. But what happened is then we started talking to her and asking, okay, how do you send out your quote? And she says, well, I print out my fee sheet from the LOS, and I have to scan it, then I attach it to an email, and it takes about 10 or 15 minutes. And then we asked, what do you do on your second scenario? Same thing if she provides 2, and a lot of times she provided 3 and 4. But the biggest thing was when we make a change, and you'll see that this is a report that's already created. You could come back in here if a couple days later maybe they wanted a different down payment or wanted to see a different option. You always have it here. You don't have to go and recreate anything. You don't have to get new fee sheets and new scans. It's all in Edge. So as you're looking at time, always remember the full aspect of it and how much quicker. It's 3 loan quotes, and it's also be able to do the edit. So with this file, what I'm going to do is go to the analysis screen. That is where a reinvestment strategy takes place. So the way I have the analysis summary set up is in the short-term savings, I have it listed at 84 months. And the reason for that was to be able to show, let's go to my report, let me bring it back up. I wanted to be able to show the rate changing. because these are 5/1 ARMs. If I put 60 month in this savings in the short-term area, I haven't seen my rate change. So if I go to Edge just to be able to show you that, because I'm also going to focus on break-even point in this. So this is what I'm focusing on right now. So I have the 60 month in this area. So let's take a look at the report. Anytime you make a change, advance the screen, and that saves the change. So take a look at my report, and if anyone, I have 6 viewers right now on the report, so you'll be able to see that change should have been made on your report. That is Edge Live. That is what we're talking about, being able to talk to your client, make adjustments on the same time while you're talking to them. So with that, we got the 60 months. So what I want to do is actually take a look at the break-even point. So what the short-term savings area is, let's click on that More Info button. What we're doing is calculating the interest and the mortgage insurance over that 60-month period. We then add any kind of closing costs or points, and I have a rather low fee structure in this particular sample. So then once you total your cost here, we do the comparison, and that's what these savings is. It's the savings of the unrecoverable costs. So when do you hit break even? When do you know to refinance? So the way to do that is, I'm closing out the short term. Let's go back to Edge and in my analysis screen. So we'll have the numbers right here showing. Let's just see what 12 months looks like. Now you'll notice that the FHA has no graph, and we're actually saving money on the current mortgage. So let's take a look at that on the report. So to do it, I need to advance my screen, and let's take a look at the report. I have 60 months right here. You see it's been changed to 12. Now at this point, my FHA is a higher cost. So if we go into our More Info, actually, what I'm doing to clear out my highlights, you'll see on my report at the bottom middle, there's a Clear All button. If I click on that, you'll notice now my highlights are removed. And for Mary, how am I highlighting? Go over the field, and you'll see how the mouse is highlighting that cell. Then I left click. I mean, that's all it is. So you can see on this product here that the FHA has interest and MI, and it's the most expensive loan at the 12 months. So at this point of time, it wouldn't make sense to refinance into an FHA because there's no savings at 12 months. But that's where the conversation comes in. How long do they plan to stay in their home? First, if you just want to be able to look at different break-even points, just also point out, you can even put a lower number here. You can do 6 months, and you can see how the numbers change. So you could take this down and up to actually find what that break-even point is on your loan. So that's one option. And those who are clicked on that Edge report, you could see how when you're talking to the borrower on the phone, how you'd be able to make those adjustments as soon as you advance the screen, and you'd be able to hold that conversation with the borrower. So you could show them the cost and then how it's financially responsible to refinance because they're recuperating those costs within an X amount of period. So that's one thing with the reinvestment strategy about the unrecoverable costs. So now let's dive into the reinvestment matrix. So let's go back to Edge. And now I'm going back a screen to get into our analysis screen. And now on the middle left, you'll see a button, Adjust Reinvestment Strategy. That's where the matrix is. So this is the area where you're going to reinvest principal or to a savings account. So first off, let's just make even payments. So to look at this screen, you'll see at the very top, monthly savings. You'll have anything in red is telling you there's no savings. That's the 0 point. So you can see on each of those products how much additional money they're saving each month over that initial current mortgage. So let's reinvest that amount. So I'm putting $265.64, $443.55, $443.55, and now you'll notice that if you add this up, it's the exact same payment that you're making with that current mortgage, but take a look at the freedom point. You're currently on the rate of 28.83, but you just dropped it with that lower rate to 22.33, and this is that FHA loan, as well as a little less than 20 years on that ARM. So let's take a look at this on the report. So I'm going to press OK, advance my screen to make those changes. I'm clicking on my report now. And what I'm going to do is show you how the report changed. So I have a reduction payment line. Now you can see that additional amount that's being applied toward principal, and also that freedom point. So there's the freedom point on that current mortgage, but by applying that additional principal, that additional savings, you'd be able to show them apples to apples. You're making this payment now. If you keep making that payment, this is your freedom point. So this is when your loan can be paid off. So now that's one step. So the next piece is, if we click on that More Info button, we have, let's take a look at our reinvestment matrix. And you'll see that this is exactly what we're seeing on the data entry screens. So you can also highlight within the reinvestment matrix. When you highlight on a yellow, it just makes those fields bold. So now the next option is our mortgage insurance. It does drop from the loan, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. So let's close out of our reinvestment matrix, and let's go back to Edge, back to screen, and click on that reinvestment matrix. Okay, so now the way you use the screen and the reduction payment, you would double click on the field for the reinvestment. So I'm going to double click, and I have an additional screen that will pop up. So the way you can read this screen is, you see month 1, I'm applying my savings. Now at the base of the screen, you'll see that the MI cutoff month is 133, and the last MI payment was 196. So what we want to do is be able to reinvest that MI at the point of month 133. So what we're going to do is add a line, and you'll see in the lower right it says add. So I'm adding it. So it's asking me what month. If I look down at the base, I want to place this adjustment at month 133. I click on that field. I put in 133. But now, besides the 196, I want to take into account the monthly savings of my payment. So I want both of those figures in this line. So that total is $461.86. And now I've just taken my monthly savings and my MI, and I reinvested into the loan. So let's take a look at that now. So I'm going to press OK. You'll see now it says custom, and the freedom point has dropped again. So now let's take a look at our conventional product. Let's go ahead and double click on that one. And you'll see at the base on the 23rd month, we could go ahead and drop that MI. And granted, the setup I have here is just a little bit, the LTV is high. That's why we don't have a lot of months for MI. So just like before, let's add, change it to month 23, and 443 plus the 164. So I'm placing 607.89. And I'll press OK. And then let's do the same for the end. That is the exact same product. And let me know if you go ahead and put it in the chat box if you want me to explain further why I have 2 ARM loans, best and worst case. If you want me to do that, I can go ahead and show you. Brian, you saw that adjust with ARM button. I'll show you that in just a moment on that one. It's pretty cool. So now we have our MI as well as our monthly savings placed in that custom field. So now we have 2 new freedom points. So let's take a look at our report and see how that looks now. So I'm pressing OK. I'm advancing the screen. Now let's take a look at the report. Go into my More Info. Did you notice? Let me go ahead and click this out. You'll notice that the buttons have now changed to the word custom. So if you go into the More Info, and if you're clicked on the report should jump out for you. You shouldn't have to touch my report. This reinvestment strategy screen should have carried out for you. So That's what you should be seeing. That's what the customer would be experiencing with Edge Live. So now you'll see all the information in here, and then if you click on Custom, you'll be able to see exactly the information that I entered. So you'll be able to explain to them that on month 1, you're reinvesting the $265, which was the monthly savings, keeping apples to apples. And then you could tell them, well, your mortgage insurance has dropped from the loan, and this is what would happen if you took that savings and invested it back into principal. So we have that, and if you take a look at these, you'll be able to see that as well. Okay, if you have any questions on that aspect, go ahead and place it in the chat box. So now let's go back to our reinvestment strategy screen, and then we're going to adjust reinvestment matrix. So let's go in here. So what I'm going to do now is let me go ahead and, so we have our savings here. Now I want to mark adjust arm. Oh, yeah, I can do it here. Okay. So with adjust arms, you won't be able to put a dollar amount in here, just the savings. Let's see if this works. Sorry. Okay, there it goes. It just was slow. Let me go ahead and double click on this and let's see, put that in there. I tend to get impatient. Sorry. I should have waited. So press OK. Okay, it is. I just want to confirm that. Okay, so with this, what this will do is adjust with ARM. So what that will do is if I go into the adjustment, let's go ahead and remove our Reinvest MI. Now we have $443.55. And we have it marked adjust with ARM. So what this is going to do is as the ARM adjusts, so say my payment changed at that ARM adjustment and it went up $100. If it went up $100 with a higher payment, the system will reduce your reinvestment. So it will drop it to $343. So with that adjustment. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to go ahead and press OK. And to be able to see that as the change, let's go ahead and change it to 84 months to take into account that refinance. So if I go ahead and advance my screen, let's take a look at the report. And now what will be happening is you'll have that reinvestment strategy within that, and then it will go ahead, my freedom point up. Okay, I got to take a look into that further. So Brian, let me take a look into it and I could get it back, but it's supposed to adjust directly with that ARM adjustment. And let me take a look further into it and then I could get back to you. So let's go back to Edge. Go in the reinvestment. So when I find that out further, but that's the point of it, Brian, is it's supposed to go ahead and adjust with that payment, reduce the reduction of principal as your payment rises with that adjust with ARM. Okay. So now, what if the borrower, I just want to be able to point out, what if the borrower didn't want to apply it to principal? They just don't want to do that. They want to be able to secure their savings. And that's fine. You have two ways of doing it. You have a savings balance here. Usually that savings balance has a very low interest rate. The saving balance is in our assumption screen where you key it in. So it's that's where you'll be able to enter it. But again, you'll see after closing costs, this is how much they have left in their savings. So what you can do is put in 443.55 in this field. And you could see over that 15-year period, see the 15, this is the long-term area, they would have accumulated $104. So, okay, so you have it that way. But also, let me go ahead and click on Custom. Let's remove these as well. So you have the savings and you have an investment balance. So if you're working with clients, you'd be able to, they might have an investment already, an investment account. So if they do, you could go ahead and place that amount in here. So say if they already have $20,000, or you can leave it at 0 if you don't know that information yet. Find out a rate. If you're working with a financial planner, that's another option. If they're working with it, you'd be able to talk to them, be able to make these adjustments. But then with that, let's place that 443 in this area here, 443. That's that monthly savings. So if they put it in their investment account starting off with $20,000, they would have $132 at the end of that 15-year period. So we have, besides principal and reinvesting your mortgage insurance, you also be able to show either investing into a savings or investing into an investment account. So let's press OK here, and I want to point out one other area. Because we use the reinvestment strategy, let's go ahead and take a look at our report. Go into the more info. You'll see now that I've removed the amounts from the principal and that I have the monthly amount in my savings and then my investment account here. But with the amounts in this area, it's great in the lower right-hand corner. Instead of showing interest in MI, you want to show their wealth. And the way to be able to do that, if we go back to Edge, in the lower right-hand corner, you'll be able to show them their net worth. And if I click on net worth, you can see how these numbers have changed. Let's go ahead and advance the screen. And you'll see that in the lower right-hand side, it's going to change the net worth. And you'll see that the graphs are slightly different here. So let's click on the More Info button. And you'll be able to see that actually the brown is part of the savings. But in here, you have that investment balance. So you'll be able to see how much at the end of the 15 years, as well as that savings balance. So you have the savings rate and then the investment rate. So you have that information on the report as well. And those who are viewing it, the more info should have popped out. And you'll be able to show them that aspect. So that is the net worth. And you'll be able to also see those colorings on the graphs itself. So let's go back to Edge. Also, when you're working with the reinvestment strategy with the savings balance and the investment, same way, you'll be able to double-click and be able to add any reinvested MI or add any additional items. So lastly on the screen, before we move off this page, I want to show you the last item is how to do a lump sum payment. So let me just show you this process. Double-click to open up the screen. Say at the end of 12 years, you know, got bonus, inheritance, whatever it may be. So what you want to do is come in here, whatever month, say it was month 12, you know that you might have an additional $50,000 to add toward that principal. At that point, you could press OK, and then you can see how it went ahead and adjusted that freedom point. So you'll be able to see it. So I want to be able to point out that. So if you're doing a purchase and they're stuck and they don't have those funds yet, you can be able to show them what it would be like once they receive it and apply it to the principal. Okay. Right, Kimberly. Kimberly was saying the problem is Fannie Mae will automatically recast the payment or reforecast the payment. I do know basically the payment's going to stay the same except on ARM loans on that readjustment because they get readjusted. You would still have that same payment, but it's just going to be a quicker time period to pay it off. Okay. Okay, one more time. Gotcha, Brian. Okay. What happens, let me go ahead and explain this a little bit too. With the monthly payments, when you have a reinvestment, the only time your payment is physically going to change, that P&I payment, it will only change when you have a rate change. So if you're doing any kind of reinvestment and showing a freedom point, your P&I is never going to change because the way the program works, you do not have a recast period. It's fixed rate. This is the P&I that they're expecting, and that's how much they're going to go ahead and apply. So what will happen is the fact that your interest will be less for payments. So if you put a lump sum payment at month 12, what will happen on month 13? you will have more payment being applied to principal than interest because that loan amount has come down. Just a moment, I'm reading a question. You're a month. Okay, Kimberly is stating that we're correct with the monthly reduction, but the larger principal reduction, they do change. Okay, wasn't aware of lump sum. If you do a big one, that they would readjust that payment. So that's good to know, Kimberly. Thank you. But with ARM loans, oh, that's what you're trying to show. There's no way we're going to adjust that payment, Kimberly, because that's not the way. If you do docs and anything like that, the P&I is always going to stay the same. If they do modify the payment later on an ARM loan, going to the ARM loans, you will have that payment. You'll see where the MI drops. That's why they have a different payment in this area. But what will happen is you'll be able to see when it recasts at that 61 months. That's the only way the payment's going to change if you have any money applied toward principal. Our system, you have to have a rate change to trigger a payment change. I hope that helped. And if not, Kimberly, email us at support@mortgagecoach.com. We could probably dive into it a little bit more, be able to go over that question a little bit more. Okay, so let's go back to Edge. And just to review real quickly, I had a couple of people just wanted to review this one more time. So click on Reinvestment Strategy. You can always just apply the savings directly to the screen here, like I just did, and that will give you a new freedom point. Or you could double click, put in that savings amount, and you have the add and delete button. You can add another line, reinvest MI. You could go ahead and reinvest lump sum payments. So that's how you'd be able to do it there. And then again, you do have it in the savings and the investment account. And just as I have it here, I put the monthly savings in the savings account as well as the principal. That's double dipping. I only have one 443 for savings. But just to let you know, you can always split it too. So 243, 53, 55, and then I'm putting 200 into my savings account. Between that, it totals up to that monthly savings. So you can split that amount if you want to be able to show them different areas on reinvesting that amount. Okay, let's clear that out. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and. So I hope with what we've been doing, if those who have been viewing the report, being able to see what Edge Live is. So what I'm going to do is, sorry if I just going back and forth, get you a little dizzy. I'm taking my mouse over presentation. I'm going to the jump out preview. That takes me to my very last screen, and I'm going to generate a link, and I'm going to copy and paste that link into a browser. And we're going to discuss now Edge Live. So I only had 3 of you doing Edge Live roughly. So this is the goal. This is your homework by next week. Experience Edge Live. Use it with a client, or if you're just getting familiar, use it with a workmate or a family friend, something like that. So this is the report that the borrower will see. They have, first thing, they'll receive that disclosure language. As soon as they press I understand, the report comes up. So let's go ahead and pull this report and go into our other ones. And what I'm doing here is just setting up the screen so you'll be able to see side by side Edge Live. Get a little bit more understanding of this process. Okay, so the difference between the two, the one on the right is the borrower's copy. And if you see at the very bottom, there's no clear all button. Just one moment, get this image. Just a moment, I want to get this screen so it's. There we go. Okay. So the one on the right is the borrower's copy. there's no clear all button, and on the one on the left is the clear all button. So right now I did show net worth. What if I want to talk to the borrower about their interest in MI, how much they paid over that 15-year period? So if I go to Edge, go into the analysis screen, now I'm going to change it, total interest in MI, advance the screen, and take a look on the right-hand side. That's the borrower's copy. So let's go ahead and bring up our report, and you'll just notice that it did bounce. It's now reflecting interest in MI. So let's talk about the short-term savings. I want to show where that break-even point is. Sorry about that, Mark. I know I have a mic, and I have a bad habit picking up my mouse, and it slams. I apologize on that. I mentioned it right before the call, too. Okay, so with that, let's go into Edge, analysis screen. Let's change that 84 months, the short term, to 12. Advance the screen. Take a look at it at the right-hand side. And you'll see that it will update to the 12-month period. So you'll be able to discuss with them which is the best loan. Okay, Jerry, you mentioned that your quadrant is not showing as wide. Most likely you're on a short screen. Try F11. That should bring it up into a full screen mode. You'll be able to see those two quadrants. But it is a screen aspect of what you're seeing. Okay, so so that's one of the options. You also, how we talked about that reinvestment strategy, you could be able to show them on the phone what you're doing. So you'd be able to go into that reinvestment strategy. I'm going to just remove that amount here so we can focus on that reinvestment amount just to be able to show you how it adjusts. So if I press OK, and if I advance my screen, you'll notice that that reinvestment strategy amount has been removed. So I'm trying to point out basically anything that you do in Edge, even changing an interest rate. If I went to my products, you know, since I talked to them, the rates have moved down, so it's 875. Advance my screen. And you'll see on the report, you know, I have it highlighted 3.75. You'll see that that's going to change, and the rate's going to drop to that 2.875 amount. As long as I advance my screen. Did I do that? Yeah, I did. So come on. So with that, so be able to show you that's what you, it's on the 5-1 arm, I have it here. So that's what you'd be able to do with the borrower. So it's not just being able to point out, diving into all the information. You know, you see how I opened it. It opened the screen on the borrower's end too. If I wanted to talk about the payment stream, it's going to open on the borrower's copy as well. So all those items, this is what you'd be able to do with Edge Live. So you'd be able to discuss that payment. What is their P&I payment? How much they're going to save? What about MI? You know, there's quite a bit of a difference. But you can see how you can have that conversation and be able to highlight at the same time. So you can even go into the closing costs, and you have your LTV percentage, your down payment or equity, depending on purchase or refi. And then you have your fee detail button. So you could go in and discuss your fees. If you have a contribution or not, you'll be able to show that as well. So that is Edge Live. And I would make it a point this week, you're on the call, so you want to learn, give a link to someone, walk them through, put it on both screens, you get familiar with it, and really start working with Edge Live, because that's really the key. And that's how you're going to reach out to your borrower with being able to explain it. And it's one step above the email and Excel, because you'll be able to have that live interaction, which you don't have. You don't have to resubmit any new paperwork. It's all within that one link. Okay, so lastly, before we move off this report, I have my two 5-1 arms. And the difference is in this screen. We have worst and best case. The definition is right below. The worst case is going to take your rate all the way to the the ceiling. So it will make every adjustment possible until that ceiling is reached. When you choose best case, that is when the rate carries to index plus margin. This is what's used for your APR and your payment stream on your till. So those are the difference. And if we go and look at the report now, you can see I have the 5-1 ARM worst and a 5-1 ARM best. It's always good if you haven't used all 4 fields for the different loan scenarios, it's good to do a best and a worst because you're showing the full range of what potentially can happen on that ARM loan. So on the worst case, let's take a look. Let's actually go dump my MI real quick so you'll have more of a straight. So what I'm doing is just clearing out my MI, and I'm going to clear it out my best case as well. And it's just so this way we can focus on rate and the adjustment. So let's go to our report. Okay, we made the adjustment. Now if I go into my payment stream, you can see we have 60 payments at the lower rate. And then this is, then we made the adjustment to the 5% and then the remainder. So it will make the adjustments or it will go to the fully indexed amount as in this case. So you're showing the extremes, what potentially can happen and what is currently showing as of today's numbers. So that's best and worst. That's with the ARM aspect. And now let's go ahead and I want to go to the home screen. I want to show you a couple different features like the copy feature, be able to show you that function, how you can copy reports, especially with the open house flyers, how you'd be able to do that. I'm also going to go into settings and do those type of changes, be able to make sure you have an idea of all those fee templates, product templates. So as I'm doing this, if you have any kind of questions, please put it in the question box. You guys are doing really great today on the questions. So what I want to point out is the View All button. With the View All button, you'll be able to see your files all on the face of the home screen here. Or if you click on View All, you'll be able to see, do a search. So based on the information here, you could place it in here and then run a search. I left it empty just to be able to show you all the files. So now we're in our the file, and it will list all the loans I've created. So with that, we have an additional filter. If you want to go ahead and sort in this area, you could go ahead and sort it. But I wanted to point out the gray arrows. Those gray arrows will show all the different reports that are created for that particular label. So if I'm doing multiple loans for Charlie Brown, I could go ahead and do choose it. And on the right-hand side, you'll see we have a copy button. So if I do a copy, I could copy it into my current client, into Charlie's account. It will create 2 reports for Charlie, my old one and my new one. Or if I did a great scenario for Charlie that I want to be able to show someone else, I click on New Client, and all the products that I created for Charlie will carry over to this new report. So that's the difference between copying between current and new. When what I'll do is just go into the open house section, the partner section in a moment, and just talk about how it's done there. Same function, just a little bit different words. So see how it copied everything over into current client and carried my products over. Now let's click on the View All in the partner section. And this is where you really want to, if you're creating the open house flyers or even the reports, the copy function is definitely what you want to be able to use. Going in here, you'll see my gray arrows. I have quite a few of these files already created. So say I'm working with Liz. I create a report. It's on Morningstar. Notice that I have my property address here. You want to place that in your friendly name field because this way you'll know which one to copy. You can see I worked on this file, but there's no friendly name in front of that date, so I don't know what property that's for. So that's why it's good to be able to put it in that friendly name field. But say I have that copy, so I could copy directly into that partner. It'll copy the whole report over, or new partner and copy the products. But we also have ad analysis on both client and partner section. And what ad analysis will do is it's great, especially for the partners. So if I'm under Liz's account here, even on a file, if you click Add Analysis, are you sure you wish to add an analysis for Liz? I say yes. And it pulls over all the contact information for Liz And if I go into the info, all her contact data, image and logo carried over. But my products are empty, and as well as my property address. So that's a quick way to be able to do a copy and say, or be able to not have to download that realtor information again. So that's the view all, and that's that copy function. Next, I want to point out the two tabs. You have a recent clients tab and a report tracking tab. The report tracking tab is going to report the tracking on your email alerts. So on your email alerts, when you receive them, you can see I've gone into my report tracking. This file here, I've had 18 views. So what if I wanted to find out a little bit more times how long people have looked at those reports? You could click on the view all. I'm just going to go ahead and pull up all my files and use the filter here. So I put in Ken, and I click on my file. Now you'll be able to see a list of how long those reports have been open for, how long they've been viewed, and the date and time they were viewed. So that is how you'll be able to see the action that's on that particular report. So if I close that, that's the report tracking. You can also be able to see the week, how your week's been going on the alerts, as well as the month. Okay. Always remember when you're in report tracking, just click it back to recent clients to be able to edit the file. If you click on the report in report tracking, if I click on it, it brings up my report. So just want to point out, if you get stuck there, just always look, make sure the white tab is on recent clients. So also, just clicking on Kenneth Gambrell's name again, let's go into presentation at the base. And I'm trying real hard, Mark, not to pick up that mouse. Now that you're in the very last screen of presentation and preview, take a look at that very last button. That's your view history. This does the same thing. This will be able to show you how long the report has been viewed through the read receipts right here. So you'll be able to see all that information. And then you can also see the date and time when items have been changed on that report. So I wanted to point out both that, and that is always in the last screen in your view history here. Okay, now let's go into our settings. Always remember to just check your contact information. Make sure your MLS number has the identifier in front of that number, so that way it appears correctly on the report. If you have any fields in gray that need modifying, email us at support. We could go ahead and assist you with this, or if you're on an enterprise account, go ahead and contact your admin. Anytime you make a changes, press save, and then you'll be able to, it will update all your reports. Image tab, make sure your headshot and your logo is uploaded. We got fee and product templates. I'll touch base in a moment on those. We also have a report template tab, and I want to point this out. This, let's go to the report. Lower left-hand corner is a button for disclosure. If you click on that, that's the disclosure language for your report. Usually compliance provides this to you. So in Edge, if you're an individual member, if you need it placed in it, need it modified, this is where you modify that language and make it custom for your report. Whatever's in here is on all your reports, so it can't be custom for individual ones, but it'll be on all of them. We also have a button down here, Edit Extended Disclaimer. So if you don't have enough space, you can add additional space in that extended disclaimer. I also want to point out that each of the report styles has its own area for that disclaimer language that you can modify. Also, we have monthly sidebar text, short-term and long-term. So if you're not quite sure of sidebars, let me show you on the report. Also, you know we have the 5 and 15 defaulted on short-term and long-term. You can modify that as well. So let's show you what sidebar is. If you click on the More Info buttons, we have text over on the side. So that's our sidebar text, and we have it for the monthly payment savings, short-term and long-term. So if for some reason you wanted to make any kind of modifications, you could go ahead and place it in Edge here in this area. Okay. Feed templates. As you start building feed templates, just want to be able to point out, once you have one in, it's really quick to develop any others. So what you can always do if you have one created, you'll see the Save As button in the lower left. If I click on that, you could go ahead and save it. If you originate in multiple states, you can create feed templates based on that state and be able to have multiple feed templates that way. Once I press OK, it's copied the feed template into my new one. And at this point, I could go ahead and make any adjustments or add a fee if I wanted to, and be able to make that feed template slightly different. So you can see how you could do a copy, make those feed templates rather quick. Product templates, if you have not created a product template, you definitely want to get in here and create one just to show you on the FHA template. You'll be able to default your down payment, your term, marking it yes for FHA, 15-year prepaid interest. You have your 1.75 defaulted. You're able to default your reserves, your premium, click into the monthly costs. I have my MI defaulted, plus I went ahead and defaulted my hazard and property tax. You can also attach your closing details. So right here, I only have my reserves, but if you wanted to add fees, you could go ahead and do it this way, or even pull down a fee template, and it will add it. So you can, just to be able to show you how this works, I added fees. Let me just show you how important it is to develop those templates. If I go into New Client, I'm just going into a product. Let's use okay, I have a cash. I'm going to pull up my 3.5% down here. So you can see how it's yes, the 3.5. So all I have to do is enter my interest rate. My upfront MI carried over. I did have feed templates, so if I click on my closing cost details, I'll see my templates here, make modifications if needed. And then my monthly cost screen is all filled out for me, my 2 months, 4 months, and 12 months premium. So that's moving through the products, developing those product templates will really get you through quicker. Next, add another product. When you had one product already created, you have a copy from button. That copy from will allow you to copy from a product. So I'm copying from my first product, press OK, and now I can make my adjustments. Say this is not an FHA, but a conventional. I'm just making a few modifications to 5% down and 4.5, and mark it no. You see the upfront MI has changed or been removed. And then if you have to make any adjustments to fees, you can apply a new template. It will override the old one. Apply to loan. And then I just need to modify my MI. So it says 0.66. So that's the copy from button to also help you be able to copy from loan to loan. And on the hands, let's raise the hands. How many people use video with your report? A video should always be placed on your report. I only have a couple people doing video, so let me show you how to do a video real quick. So with the report, let's go back into the Kenneth file, and let's place a video on it. So I'm going to Presentation, going into Preview. I'm clicking on Generate Link. When you click on Generate Link, this is where the button is for your audio video. So if you click on that, you'll notice it's the same report. Lower right-hand side has Record Message button. You want to click on that. Hi everyone, I'm Lori. So you can see how the message will carry up here. You'll have the option, if you right-click, if for some reason your camera didn't come up, you have your settings, and you would be able to identify your camera through the settings area here. So with that, you have the record button, the play button. You have a pause as well, stop. And then if you want to remove the video, you could go ahead and press the trash can. It removes it from the report. Also, if you don't have a camera yet, you could do audio only just by pressing that record audio button. So this is where you want to be able to introduce yourself to the borrower, give a little background about yourself, about your loan options here, and then provide a call to action. The one thing, make sure you have eye contact, looking directly at it. I know when I first started, it was sort of hard looking at yourself in the camera, but I put a sticky over it and I wasn't able to see the video. So different ways you could do things. You can move the video camera around as you're also recording. So that's how you'll be able to use that video aspect. And every report that you send out should have a video on it. Nick, no, you're unable to click on the tabs when you're recording video. It's just a streaming video at that point. So, no, it's just a direct message from you. Okay, notice, how about Rita subordinating a second? Okay, Brian, let's go into there. Let's see what about. Okay, so if, say, in our assumption. So we are coming basically to the top of the hour. Let me show you this a little bit, Brian, and then we'll go ahead and close out the call. So if anyone, you could stick around, watch this aspect, but primarily we're done with today's call, and I thank everyone for listening and attending this time. So let's go ahead and work on a second lane. So I'm just going to place the information in here. When you come into a product, you'll have your current mortgage here. Next screen, you have your monthly costs. And at the end of every monthly cost, there's a question of, does Kenneth have a second? Yes, he does. So now you would fill out that information about their second lien. So let's say they took it at the same time. So my date is 1/1/14. So let's go ahead and place that in here. 1. Okay. I have an interest-only one, so I'm going to put $25,000. I have it for 10 years, my IO period. My interest rate on that was 5 1/4, and my term is 25 years. So once I put it in that information here, you'll see how I have a IO payment down at the base. You also have this, so you have all the information here. So now let's go into one of my ARM products, and let's show you how to resubordinate that lien. So with that, I want to adjust my base loan amount, because this base loan amount is not including my second. So I'm going to just update it by pressing no for, is it a refi, and then yes. When I do that, it goes back to the current mortgage and looks at those outstanding balances, and then totals them and brings them back into the screen. So that's the reason why I went no and yes, just to update my second lien information into my base loan amount. So now let's continue on and let's go to the monthly cost screen for that second lien. So now I want to mark it yes. And by doing so, okay, it didn't because it was brand new. Let's do it on the analysis screen, or the fourth product. I'm going to add another product. And what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to put 350 here right now. I know my numbers are off. But what I can do is do a copy from. And with that copy from, I want to copy everything on my current mortgage. So I'm pressing OK. So it brought over my information. You'll see it's marked current mortgage. If I kept the marked current mortgage, it's looking at that first payment date of 1/14. I want to go ahead and say yes, that our refinancing. It put in that total here. But now let's go to our monthly cost screen, and you'll see that it's still marked yes as second. If you are refinancing it into one loan, just then mark it no, and it removes that second lien. But if you're going to resubordinate it, mark yes. Then in the next screen, if it's the exact same loan, keep it as existing second, because then it will keep the rate of what you've pulled in, and it will resubordinate it. If they're refinancing, then you can mark yes. You notice the date's been removed, and then you can adjust the rate and any other terms on that second. So keeping it as existing, it will go ahead and have that first payment date and keep that as subordinating on the new mortgage. So I hope that answered your question, Brian. If not, let me know. And we're going to go ahead, if you have any other questions, go ahead and place them in the question area. Okay. Okay, Nick has a question. What if the payment in gray is not correct because they, oh, for the refinance? I think that's what you're talking about, Nick. Let's go back to the assumptions. Let's go back to that current mortgage. And this is what we discussed a couple weeks ago, is when we key this in, what happens if they applied amounts to principal, so therefore, you know, the outstanding balance is different, or possibly they might not have all the correct figures, but you do know that P&I payment. So with that, what you could do is say, if this particular case, say that payment is correct, but they applied amount to principal, and now they only owe $280. That's what you would have to do, is just override it with the true remaining balance if they applied down principal. The payment hasn't changed yet, so we're going to keep that payment correct. Yes, and let me show you. What Brian's asking is there's more training assets, and there are tons. What you do is click on your help button. And when you click on that help button, it takes you to our knowledge base. The knowledge base has many video tutorials. So if you want to go dive into the reinvestment strategy a little bit more, we have a video tutorial on that. How to read a TCA. If you're a little bit not familiar with the TCA, watch that video. So just individual reports as well. Also, what I wanted to point out, two other things. One is our search engine. So if I had a question on, say, mortgage insurance, if I put it in MI or spelled it out, you'll see how to enter an FHA loan, creating a split MI. So it will go ahead and search by your topic and provide you the video tutorials. Then, what type of more information, Brian, that you're looking for? I have a couple more items. We have a coaching call archive and access our event calendar. If I click on our event calendar, it provides us all the content for our coaching calls that we hold each Tuesday at 9 a.m. You can sign up for those Tuesday training. I'll show you just in a moment. We also have the Thursday. You've signed up for that one. Oh, you got it. Okay, Brian. Introductory class. If you want to just dive into Edge beginning, anyone in your office, these are the links to sign up, as well as our Mortgage Coach University. We have a beginner's course and advanced course. Lastly, I want to take you to our coaching call archive. In this page, we place all our past coaching calls in here. We also have our Thursday training call. This was a couple weeks ago. That was when I talked about the refinances. But you see all the different coaching calls. I want to point out this Josh Metal coaching call. You want to know scripting, how to be able to present this to the borrower. Go to this particular call. I want to point out, if you click on show more, we have a lot of links to this as well. Homework to be able to create, training assets, more advanced training, also just scripting. So I want to show you this here. So if you click on that, we have different type of scripting that would assist you if you want to be able to look in here, be able to find some information, be able to assist you. But that video itself really discussed, the Josh Metal video really goes into price for advice, and it's a great way of delivery. So we have that. Today's call is going to be also posted on here as well. And if you have any kind of questions, you can email us at support@mortgagecoach.com. We'll be able to assist you in any way. We also have a video piece on the knowledge base, so you can always be able to send us a video if you can't email it out. So we do have an option there. With that, everyone, thank you very much for attending our Thursday training. And any questions, please email us at support Thank you and enjoy your day.